Hi, I'm Darren Compton. This is a video I made of my 2016 Northeast Wyoming deer hunt. This area is an area where your tag is good for a mule deer or a whitetail. What I'm starting out here is with some scouting that I did the first couple days before the season kicked off on November 1st. This video here is from one of the areas that I tend to concentrate on. It holds quite a few whitetails. And it holds them consistently, it seems, year after year. There was two bucks here that were pretty close to being twins. This last buck here that you see, I named him the G2 buck. He had nice long G2s. His G3s were a little weak, but he was definitely on the hit list. If it got to be the third, fourth, or fifth day of my hunt, he had the possibility of going to the meat pole. However, instead, he'll have another year to mature for next year. This is a young buck that just gave me an opportunity to take some video of him. These two whitetail buck put on quite a show for quite a while. They really did some sparring. I think they were just clarifying the pecking order, which it ended up as I thought it would, as one of the bucks is pretty much larger than the other. What's nice to see is that the deer population has rebounded so significantly since the EHD outbreak in the 2011-2012 timeframe. The EHD had done quite a number to the population, but these deer are really resilient, and the population has greatly increased and rebounded significantly. This varmint was doing some mousing, and lucky for him, he was on the neighbor's ranch, and he survived his little outing. This is also on one of the ranches that I hunt. This is a winter wheat field. Luckily, for me, I guess, Northeast Wyoming received a fair amount or a good amount of rainfall in the late summer and early fall, which allowed this winter wheat to come up this year. It doesn't always come up in time for me to be able to hunt it, but it worked out well this year, and as you can see, winter wheat attracts quite a few deer, and I've seen many more deer than this on this field. This is the field where I ended up harvesting my whitetail on the first afternoon of the hunt on November 1st. My buck came out and bedded on the edge of this field. I laid prone for an hour and 40 minutes waiting for him to stand up. Once he stood up, he never made it off the winter wheat field. He was a fine 5x4. He is missing a brow tine. I knew he was missing a brow tine even before I took the shot. But I knew I was going to be well satisfied with this deer. He has very long tine length. His rack is very high off his head. He has a nice 2-inch sticker point on the right side, just behind the G2. Just a solid all-around deer that I was very pleased with. Just a couple of the buck rubs I found. These are some of my fellow whitetail hunters. This is my friend Gary. He took a nice 4x4. His second year with me. This is a nice solid buck. He also took this buck on the winter wheat field after I was done with mine. This is my good friend Joe. Joe's been going to Northeast Wyoming with me for a number of years. And this was a great 5x5 Joe took. Had nice bladed brow tines on it. And just a great solid all-around deer for this area. I can't even begin to disclose the mule deer population, how great it was this year. It seemed like every time we turned around we were bumping into mule deer. These does are right outside our camp door, and we pretty much knew eventually they were going to drag some bucks in, and sure enough they did. They were much further ahead as far as the rut goes than the whitetails. We got to witness quite a few mule deer buck bumping does during this hunt, whereas the whitetail buck were more or less still sparring and determining their pecking order. And this is the buck that I was talking about. We did have a few bucks show up to check these does right outside the camp. This is probably 80 to 100 yards right outside our camp front door. This buck wasn't real happy with this whitetail hanging around in his area, because he did have 8 mule deer doe bedded right near here. A little bit of rubbing his antlers. This whitetail finally decided it was time for him to leave. I got some great video of this buck. He's going to give you a little show here. He's going to do some lip curling. He's going to check the air, check his does. This buck is a 4x2. He has a brow tine on one side but not on the other. But he has nice mass, a solid frame, nice tall frame. Just a great mule deer buck. This buck did not get harvested on the day I videoed him, but he did get harvested the next morning by my good friend George. Few still shots I took of him just prior to him coming over here and putting a show on for you. He puts on quite the show, just ripping and tearing at this brush. He's got himself all kinds of worked up. Three-quarters of the fun of this hunt is just watching these deer do what they do. And boy, do you get to see a lot of deer in a day in this area. Now this is private land. I don't want to construe in any way that this is public land. This is private land that I do pay a trespass fee to hunt. I hunt 2 ranches on a trespass fee. We aren't guided or outfitted in any way. So it is do it yourself. But after hunting here for 10 or 11 years now, very familiar with both the ranches that I hunt. This here is my great friend George. Been going to Wyoming with me for a number of years. He's taken some great bucks, and this is that mule deer buck that you just saw in the video that he harvested. Just a great buck. Very pleased that George was able to harvest this deer. This is a slob of a buck found bedded on a neighbor's ranch. Although we couldn't put a tag on him, he was still nice to just look at, take some video of, and share with you. This buck here has his hot doe, but he's also already broken off one side of his antlers. He broke it off on the main beam just after the G2. We ran into 4 whitetail bucks on the access road into one of the ranches that I hunt. All 4 of these bucks were enormous. They're probably about 200 to 300 yards from the property line. We're all tagged out, and like I said, this is on the neighbor's ranch headed into our ranch, so these bucks were safe regardless. Just nice to know they're in the area, enjoyable to watch, and there's always that hope that they'll cross the property line. These mule deer bucks sure give you the idea of what I'm talking about, that they're much further along than the whitetails.
cakes. I love their button.
These bucks are just laying around, enjoying the warm sun, chewing their cud. They actually jumped up because of a muley doe coming from behind me, coming over to join them. This is just some neat video. A couple muley bucks with their does that I thought I would share. Pretty enjoyable to watch. This area of the country in northeast Wyoming, Crook County, is really some of the most beautiful countryside you could ever see. Great people that live there. If you get an opportunity to hunt this area of the country, you won't regret it. The scenery is really unbelievable. I hope you enjoyed this video and the last few pictures that I'm going to share here with you. And now the long wait begins until 2017 when I can do this again and make another video. I did have an opportunity after the hunt to do a little bit of shed hunting, and I believe I came home with 8 whitetail sheds. Here's a picture of me with 3 small ones I found in one outing, but I did find my first bull elk shed. It's pretty rare this area of the country to find something like this. There is a herd. It's not a huge herd, but this is a nice 6-point bull shed I found. I was pretty happy to find it. And finally, my whitetail once again to end out this video. I really hope you enjoyed this, and happy hunting to you, and I hope you have a great hunting season. Take care.